A severe weather outbreak is expected this afternoon, evening into the overnight hours for portions of Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, and Illinois. Thunderstorms are expected to redevelop between 4 to 7 p.m. this evening and move southeast into the early overnight hours. We expect storms to first develop in northeast Iowa, southeast Minnesota, and up into central Wisconsin and into the western UP of Michigan, and dive southeast into eastern Wisconsin, southeast Iowa, southern Wisconsin, and into northern Illinois around sunset and after sunset hours. We're going to dive deep into looking at some of the observations right now of what the trends are for this afternoon and evening, and then dive more into future radar and exact timing and area that's greatest chance of having a tornado. Even a strong tornado too is possible later today. This right now is a look at radar. We have this complex moving through. As you see this video, this complex will be further southeast. So either way, we are expecting a lot of clearing to take place behind the morning rain for the area that is expected to get severe weather today. Behind it, into the west of it, where we have temperatures into the upper 80s, with dew points close to 80 dew points as well. So this will continue to lift northeast this afternoon as this complex moves out, and that will put it likely an outflow boundary along the Mississippi River area by mid-afternoon, and that will be a focus point for probably strong tornado potential. I will be in that area later today. But for the north, we continue to see clearing happening as well. Well, we can look at satellite. We can take a look at satellite. Well, you can see a lot of sunny skies behind the complex. This is all sunny skies into the north of this complex. A lot of sun, and then the cold front is draped further north. You can see a couple areas of cumulus clouds developing along the cold front already. As this continues to move southeast, we'll continue to see a cape like storm field will continue to build as the sunny skies continue to filter in. This is a look at storm fuel for, right now. We can see very high amount of storm fuel is in place behind the morning complex and to the rest of the complex. So as this complex continues to dive southeast into Illinois, we'll continue to see the frontal boundary continue to lift further north up into Wisconsin. Now this complex does seem like it is lagging behind all the storm field in the boundary a bit more later of a northeast jog. So that is why this weather threat continues to shrink a little bit further south today. The chance for tornadoes. Strong tornadoes are further south today than they have been the last couple of days because this boundary is currently only still west of Cedar Rapids areas, and by the time you see this video, it probably won't be much further northeast. So by mid-afternoon, this boundary will probably only make it to the Mississippi River. But either way, as it does, we have a gradient of very high storm fuel in place, upwards of 4,000 plus joules with 80 dew points and a shortwave trough moving in that we've talked about for a while. And that will allow for a severe weather outbreak to happen. Taking a look at some of the wind shear, the effective wind shear, there is a lot of bulk shear for weather today, and that is also another ingredient that is high enough to get an organized severe weather threat to happen with damaging winds, large hail, and the chance for strong tornadoes. Taking a look at future radar, this is just a radar model that's going to change a little bit. The exact radar won't look like this exactly. As we get to about 4 to 5 p.m., we should start to see discrete supercells develop all the way from the UP Michigan down and along the cold front into southeast Minnesota. So about 4 to 6 p.m. this evening, we will see storms develop. This is by 6 p.m. We continue to see storms move southeast down to the UP Michigan, Wisconsin, and into northeast Iowa at this point. Now by 7 o'clock, I do think this event will still look to peak between 5 and 8 p.m., maybe 9 p.m. for strong tornado potential. Looking at any discrete to semi-discrete supercells into Wisconsin and into northeast Iowa, we'll have, so again, there could be a few supercells further west into Cedar Rapids areas later this evening too. I mean, this is a large area of severe weather potential, and this is just a model. I am talking pretty fast, but I do want to get this video done and get going north as well. So I'm talking a little bit faster than I try to normally talk. But again, these supercells continue to look very robust this evening. And then as we move into the overnight hours, at the sunset at least, They will grow upscale into a complex from the UP, Michigan, all the way down into the Illinois-Wisconsin border, and all the way down into Iowa as well. This will likely be more of a damaging wind event as we get past sunset with damaging wind gusts of 70 plus miles an hour. This line further into Iowa will likely be a bit stronger than what this model shows this evening as well. So we probably get a couple Boeing segments draped across a few states after sunset this evening. There will still be a chance for tornadoes, embedded tornadoes in these clusters, but the main threat after sunset will begin to be damaging winds with potential for hurricane force strength wind gusts of 74 plus miles an hour. And then things will continue to weaken as we get deeper into the night as well. So taking a look at the parameters for tornadoes, for strong tornadoes, we continue to see a very high parameter space in place for Wisconsin, southeast Minnesota, and into Iowa for later today, with plenty of clearing taking place after this complex move. So we can see by the evening hours, we see a lot of bright colors. That is showing the environment is very favorable for strong tornadoes in these areas this afternoon, and it seems that the storms will move into that environment after 4 to 5 p.m., and that is what will increase the threat for strong tornadoes, which means EF2 plus strength tornadoes are possible. And if not, I still think there'll be a few tornadoes today, either way, for portions of Wisconsin and northeast Iowa to begin with. A shortwave trough continues to move into the upper Midwest. This is a shortwave trough looking at mid-level heights. As well, we see this trough. You see this initial wave or whatever is pushing through, and that is what has allowed, you can see right here, has allowed for that complex to happen on the edge of it. But then we see the main embedded shortwave trough, the stronger, more organized wave push southeast later today. It's draped. It looks like it's draped about here or so. It's overlapping the cold front, now, and then once the atmosphere becomes ready, that is when you see storms initiate. So the shortwave trough, everything, I guess, meteorologically is looking the same as it did the last couple of days for this area, and that is why confidence is so high in a severe weather outbreak to happen later today. Not expecting like a full-on tornado outbreak or anything, but a few tornadoes could happen, and they could be strong, as well as very large hail is also a threat in the supercells, at least initially, for northeast Iowa and into southern Wisconsin. And then, as I said, the damaging wind threat will increase on and after sunset this evening as storms grow upscale into a line. Because these storms will be more discrete in nature this afternoon and evening, beneficial rain is not expected for widespread areas, but isolated areas of more heavy rainfall is expected as storms do grow upscale into a Boeing segment. Now this is for this morning's rain mostly over here, but you can see as they do grow upscale, you might be able to get an inch or 2 or 3 inches of rain, but still mostly isolated to scattered areas. So this event is not going to really affect the drought too much because it's more of an isolated high rainfall event. But that's what you get when you have more discrete supercells taking place as well. Now taking a look back at satellite before I end this one. Let's zoom back in here. You can see that plume of a lot of cloud cover with this complex, but behind it there's a lot of clear skies. So rapid destabilization will happen through early to mid-afternoon hours today, and the storms will develop along a cold front or ahead of a cold front between 4 to 6 p.m. and move southeast. Any storms that interact with the outflow boundary that will likely set up behind it along the river, Mississippi River, I guess I was trying to say, that will have the highest chance to produce strong tornadoes through about sunset time frame, and then the complex will move through southern Wisconsin and Illinois into Michigan later this evening.